All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Moda here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, live on the Betting Pros YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at this time, 11 a.m., going through the entire NBA betting slate. So for today, we got 9 games total, but one of the games I will just say at the beginning, we're going to be completely passing on at this current moment in time. That's the Cavaliers-Pistons game. I just need Donovan Mitchell news before I do anything. And right now, there are no player props out for the Cavaliers except for Donovan Mitchell, but he's listed as questionable. So obviously, if he gets ruled out, that would change for everybody else. So that game we're skipping. I would recommend following me on social media. I'll post more about that as the day goes on. And then I also recommend checking out the Betting Pros app. As odds get posted, you'll be able to find picks there as well. So we're going to have a total of 9 picks, 7 units risked. We'll have one game where we'll have 2 plays. Finally, last stream, we had a good one, up about 5 units from last stream. We cashed 2 pretty juicy plus money bangers as well. We cashed Luka triple-double. That was at plus 430. We cashed Max Strus at a pumped up number for his 3-pointers. That was at plus 200. Both of those cashed, which was very nice. Finally, we got a good day. Let's hope we can get some momentum with these streams. And then, of course, make sure to like the video, like the stream, subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel. And most importantly, get all your questions, your comments, your concerns in the chat, whether you want just whether you have a play yourself that you want me to comment on, or you just want to shout it out in the chat and then I can give that a shout out. Or if you have any questions, anything like that, would appreciate you getting in the chat. As you can, I see Sam in here now. Sam Young, time to cook. Modai, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being in the chat. Let's hope again that we can follow up last stream and carry over the hot streak, and we can get right into it. So the first play that we're going to go ahead and lock in here, and remember, we're passing on the Cavaliers-Pistons game, so I'm going to skip that one entirely. This is in the Hornets versus 76ers, our first play. We're taking Buddy Hield, 4+ made 3-pointers. DraftKings is giving that to you at plus 155 odds. So even though it's a little bit of a juicier play at plus 155, I am still putting the full unit on this one. I'm not unit sizing it down or anything because I really like this play. Buddy, since he's been a member of the Sixers, he's just been chucking it. He's been shooting at a high volume, high frequency. And yeah, it's only been 8 games, but that's what they traded him for. And even without Joel Embiid, the team's been struggling. They need his scoring even more. So he's just been firing away. In the 8 games that he's been a member of the Sixers, he leads the team in both 3-point attempts and 3-pointers made as well. He's attempting about 9 per game, and he's making about he's making exactly 3.8 per game as well in the 8 games with the Sixers. So he's making about 4 per game, and we're getting it at plus 155 odds. So not that means everything, of course. You need to look way deeper than that. It's on the surface, that part sounds good. And the matchup against the Hornets is perfect in terms of where Buddy Hield shoots from. The Hornets are giving up the 5th most points per game to his shooting profile and the 2nd most to his scoring profile. And both his shooting and scoring, that just comes from 3-pointers, right? He doesn't do much inside the 3-point line, I should say, like, in the paint, mid-range, all that stuff. He mostly just shoots from deep. And it makes sense when you look at where he shoots from and what the defense of the Hornets gives up. Even as the Hornets defense has gotten a little bit better recently, they're still allowing a lot of 3-pointers to where Buddy Hield shoots. So digging a little bit deeper, Buddy Hield attempts 4.5 spot-up attempts per game. He takes 4.5 spot-up attempts per game. That's the most on the Sixers. Spot-ups generally come shooting from deep, right? You're spotting up, you're catching, and you're shooting. Buddy Hield also shoots 47.4% on catch and shoot opportunities for the Sixers. He's taking the most and making the most catch and shoot and spot ups on the Sixers. Again, that's this last 8-game sample size since he's been traded over. Meanwhile, looking at the Hornets defense, they're giving up the 2nd most points per game specifically to spot ups. That's on the entire season. I couldn't figure out a way to filter the data just to be in the month of February. So that spot up number, the 2nd most on spot ups, is on the entire season. But if you look at the month of February, when their defense has been playing better, they're allowing teams to attempt the 3rd most catch and shoot 3-pointers in the month of February as well. Spot ups, catch and shoot, that's where Buddy Hield shoots from. That is where the Hornets defense has been giving up a lot of 3-pointers. So I think that this is an awesome play, especially for the plus 155 odds. And, Buddy Hield he's made 3 or more every single game as a member of the Sixers, except for the last one. So hopefully he kind of swings back the other way and has a good shooting game. I absolutely love this one. Getting to some comments here. Jim 800, shouldn't the Pacers get into a 140 to 136 type game tonight? I mean, yeah, that's a classic Pacers score. The Pelicans defense is pretty good, and they don't play as fast as the Pacers, so maybe it gets slowed down a little bit there. Sam Young, can Ant stay hot? How is that matchup? I did not look at Anthony Edwards specifically. I think the matchup, to my knowledge, is pretty good against the Kings. I didn't look into that one specifically, but that does seem pretty good. All right, first pick is the Buddy Hield one. Next up, this is in the Mavericks versus Celtics game. I'm taking Jayson Tatum over 41.5 points, rebounds, assists. That's best offered at -105 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. And this is just the perfect matchup for Jayson Tatum to rack up a ton of stats. I honestly like all 3 points, rebounds, and assists individually. So I decided to just combine them into one play. Now, we obviously have to hope that Luka plays. Right now, he's listed as questionable. He's listed as questionable with an ankle/nose injury, and the ankle is the concerning part because that's a new one. That popped up after his last game. He'd been listed on the injury report with the nose thing for like 9 games, and he's played through it, and he's played really well. The ankle is new, so we'll have to look at that. Luka obviously playing limits the possibility this turns into a blowout. If Luka misses, then I do want to look at Kyrie Irving props and see what those are at. But regardless, this matchup for Tatum, which is what we're taking here, it's perfect, like I said, for him to rack up a bunch of stats. The Mavericks are giving up the 5th most points per game to his shooting profile and the 4th most to his scoring profile. That makes sense when you dig into it because the Mavericks give up a ton of pull-up jump shot opportunities. They're tied with the Kings for giving up the most made field goals per game via the pull-up in the month of February. And that's exactly where Jayson Tatum scores from, right? He doesn't get to the rim nearly as much as I would like him to. He lives on the pull-up. Last time he played the Mavericks, he scored 39 points. So I like his points. I am actually going to ladder that up to 30-plus points as well. That's at plus 170 odds that I put a half unit on. As for the assists, the Mavericks are giving up the 6th most assists per game to his playmaking style. And if you look at the recent 5-10 games for the Mavericks, and you look at guys that have a similar playmaking style to Tatum, they've all been going over their assist prop. That's Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, who played the Mavericks recently for the Raptors. They both went over their assist prop. Quickley had 9, Barrett had 6. Donovan Mitchell, even though he's a guard and Tatum's a forward, they have the same playmaking style. Donovan Mitchell went over his assist prop. I like his assist. And then for rebounds, the Mavericks are giving up the 5th most rebounds per game to Tatum's rebounding style. In each of the last 3 games against the Mavericks, Jayson Tatum has had double-digit rebounds. So his over-under is at 8.5. I think he's going to get to 10+. So I laddered him to 10+ rebounds as well. I put a half unit on that at plus 125 odds. I'm obviously highly indexed on Jayson Tatum props, but I think it's just such a good matchup for him to play really well. So I felt comfortable doing it. We're 2 picks deep. Justin was looking at Giannis under 11.5 rebounds. I do have 2 picks in that game. Unfortunately, none of them are the Giannis rebounds, but I do like both of the props that I have for that game. Neither of those are leans. They're both going to be official full 1-unit plays. But before I get into our next play, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app, bettingpros.com/apps. The most important that I find, or the most valuable, I should say, that I find from the app is the prop bet cheat sheet. You can find all of Betting Pros recommended picks based on the current lines that the sportsbooks are offering, like the actual sportsbook, the DraftKings of the world, their over-unders, and then the Betting Pros projections as well. And you can find recommended picks based on the difference between the lines and the projections. I lock in all my picks on the app as well, bettingpros.com/Moda if you want to find the link to my profile. You can also get a free trial to the premium offering. By downloading the Betting Pros app, you can get access to a free trial. We'll also be doing a giveaway for that as well, which I'll get into in a little bit. But again, you can get a free trial. And then I also like the fact that you can sync all your sports books through the app using the Bet Sync function. So easy way to track all of your picks. FM Green, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Welcome in the chat. I appreciate you. Again, make sure everybody to get any questions, comments, concerns that you have. If you want my advice on something, if you like a different angle than I have, please put it in the chat. I'll be happy to read through them as much as possible. So the next play that we are locking in here, this is in the Warriors versus Raptors game. And I'm taking Steph Curry over 5.5 made 3-pointers. This is best offered at plus 108 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. It's a really high number. I get it. I mean, 6 made three-pointers is crazy. You're never going to see an over-under like this except for Steph Curry. But when you look at the matchup and you know who Steph Curry is, you start to understand why. I don't know. I mean, maybe you've heard Steph Curry is a pretty good shooter. If you didn't know that he was a pretty good shooter, you're welcome for that type of analysis. But he's an amazing shooter everywhere, right? That's his game. But looking at where he shoots the most and looking at what the Raptors give up, it's a match made in heaven for Steph Curry three-point props. He attempts the third most pull-up three-pointers in the entire NBA, and he's tied for the third most made three-pointers in the month of February as well. But where he's truly elite, because he doesn't just pull up, right? He runs around screens. He's very, very active, not just with the ball in his hands. He takes the most above-the-break three-pointers on the entire year and in the month of February as well by a massive, massive margin. So in the month of February, he's attempting over 12 above-the-break three-pointers in the NBA. He's making over 41% on those 12 attempts. That is obscene. The next closest player in terms of attempts is Luka, who's attempting 9.5. And Steph's at over 12. Head and shoulders above the rest of the NBA in the above the break three-pointer department. It's just nuts how good he is. And if you're unfamiliar, above the break is essentially a three-pointer that's not on the corner. So you can filter you can filter scoring by zone. And corner three is exactly what it sounds like. It's on the corner. Above the break is anything that is not on the corner. And also not in the backcourt, which is really just in the backcourt would just be a heave at the end of the shot clock or half or something like that. Unfortunately, looking at the Raptors defense, where they have been the weakest is giving up pull-up three-pointers and giving up above-the-break three-pointers as well. In the month of February, the Raptors are allowing the third most made pull-up three-pointers in the NBA, and they're tied for allowing the second most made above-the-break three-pointers as well. That is just a death sentence going up against Steph, who's on a ridiculous hot streak. He just made 8 three-pointers last night. Now, the second half of back-to-back doesn't scare me off because he's been playing on second nights of back-to-backs, and he's been playing well. And in the past 10 games, he's made 6 or more three-pointers in 6 games. So even at the ridiculous number, he's been clearing it pretty consistently. So because of that and because of the matchup, I was very comfortable hammering this Steph Curry prop. Tatum to drop 40 is plus 1,100 odds. That's pretty good. I mean, 40 plus or plus 1,100. I do like that a lot. I'll never talk someone out of a plus 1,100 play. Next up, this is in the Blazers versus Grizzlies game. Everybody's going to laugh at me. Vince Williams over 28.5 points, rebounds, assists. Best offered at minus 115 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. Someone on Twitter /X made the joke that Vince Williams points, rebounds, assists calls to me like the Green Goblin mask in Spider-Man. That is a very accurate description. But the reality is it's such a good play for Vince Williams PRA that I didn't want to just ignore it because, well, he's burned me a lot in the past, so I'm not going to play it. You got to let bygones be bygones. Now, 28.5 is a high number. Normally with Vince Williams PRA, it's like 23.5 or 24.5. But look at the matchup and look who's not playing for the Grizzlies. And also look who's not playing for the Blazers, right? They're also really banged up. Their defense is terrible. In the Grizzlies, so the same guys, their best players who are going to be out for the foreseeable future are obviously still out. John Morant, Desmond Bane, Marcus Smart, all those guys are still out. Then for this specific game, Derrick Rose and Jaren Jackson Jr. confirmed out. John Conchar and Luke Kennard are listed as doubtful, and G.G. Jackson is listed as questionable. There's nobody left. There's literally nobody left. Vince Williams' usage rate is going to be at like Luka Doncic levels of usage rate. And, last time all these guys were out for the Grizzlies was right before the All-Star break. The Grizzlies played the Bucks. Vince Williams had 37 combined points, rebounds, assists. In an earlier game in the same month of February, he had 32 against the Bulls, 34 against the Heat. In games where they have most of their guys healthy, and when I mean most of their guys healthy, I don't mean their studs. I mean the guys that they signed to replace their studs. Yeah, their rotations are wacky, and you really can't rely on anybody. But with the guys that are confirmed out, like 4 guys in the rotation are going to be missing, he's going to have such a high usage rate against a really bad defense that I'm going back to it. And I'm unapologetically going back to it, going to the Vince Williams points, rebounds, assists. So what are we, 4 picks deep? The perfect time to talk to you about the 1-year premium subscription giveaway that I hinted at earlier. If you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's a place where you can bet smarter, not bet harder. All you need to do to be entered is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and then comment on this video. You do those two things and you'll be entered. Hopefully you're already subscribed, but if not, please click that subscribe button. A winner will be announced right here on the channel. So if you don't want to miss anything, you can turn your notifications on so you can be alerted when new episodes drop. But 1 year premium subscription giveaway, comment, subscribe, and you're good to go. Next up, this is in the Kings versus Timberwolves game. I'm taking De'Aaron Fox over, 24.5 points. This is best offered at -108 per the Betting Pros consensus. Now, technically, Fox is listed as questionable to play, and he did miss the last game as well. But if he gets ruled out for this game, you'll just get it refunded. No harm, no foul there. And if he plays, he's not going to be limited. And I think his points are a really good angle against the Timberwolves. Like, nobody wants to take overs against the Timberwolves because their defense is awesome. But even as good of a defense as Timberwolves, I mean, what do they give up points per game? 110, 106, whatever it may be. That's still 106 and 110 points that need to be scored. And you have to funnel shots somewhere. They don't allow a lot of three-pointers, and they don't allow a lot of shots at the rim. That is the recipe for a very good defense. Where they do funnel shots is in the mid-range and for pull-up jump shots as well. The reason why is they like to have Rudy Gobert stick to the paint because that's where he's excellent at. And on pick and rolls, they'll allow guys to shoot the pull-up mid-range jump shots because it's not a super high efficiency shot. And that's why the Timberwolves have such a good defense, is because that's where they limit shots. But at least that's where De'Aaron Fox can score. On the year, the Timberwolves are allowing the 6th most pull-up field goal attempts in the NBA and the 2nd most via the mid-range as well. They don't get beat in the restricted area, and they don't get beat by three-pointers. Reality is the shots that they give up are mid-range pull-ups. And Fox isn't quite on the level as Trae Young and Devin Booker in this area, but he is still very good, right? He takes the most mid-range shots on the Kings. Both on the year and in the month of February, his his mid-range shot attempts is just going up. He also takes the most pull-up shots on the Kings as well by far. He takes over double the next closest person in terms of shots via the pull-up. He's also been playing really well recently. He had a cold stretch earlier in December, January timeframe, but he's cashed 25 plus points in 5 straight games. And you look at who he's played in that 5-game sample size, 2 defenses that are similar in terms of coverage to the Timberwolves, the Nuggets and the Suns. He scored 40 and 30 points against them. Now, those defenses aren't as good as the Timberwolves, but they funnel shots to the same areas, drop coverage on the pick and roll. So I think Fox can continue to have a good stretch of games. Hopefully he does play. Hopefully he cashes it for us. Next up, Pacers versus Pelicans. I'm taking Tyrese Haliburton over 11.5 assists. Best offered at +112 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. So last stream on Wednesday, we went with Tyrese Haliburton assist, and he came through for us. Granted, it was the ultimate sweat where I think he had 9 late in the fourth quarter, and then he got 4 just back to back to back, like almost in 4 straight possessions. That's still a W, even though it made us very, very sweaty. But even in that game against the Pelicans, and these two teams, I should say, it's like a home and home, right? They played on Wednesday and they're playing again today. In that game, he had 13 assists on 22 potential assists. So even though his actual assist came on late, he had a legitimately good game overall. Now, I will admit that recently, mostly since he's come back from injury, Haliburton hasn't been able to control the it went up to 10. It was 10.5. I'm guessing that's the Haliburton assists. I think the 10.5 was super juiced towards the over. So I just took it at 1 assist higher and got better odds. But I will admit that Haliburton hasn't been completely controlling the game like he was at the beginning of the year, mostly since he's come back from injury. And the reason for that, teams know that he's looking to pass when he drives. So they're sticking to the shooters and to the roll man and stuff. And they're just basically saying, hey, beat us as a scorer, which he is capable of doing. And he's been doing more recently. But that's kind of why you see his potential assists down a little bit. Also because of the playing time. In the month of February, he played fewer than 30 minutes. He still averaged the 5th most potential assists in the NBA, despite playing on average fewer than 30 minutes in the month of February. Now that his minutes restriction is completely over with, he's playing a normal allotment of minutes. He should go back to averaging the close to 20 potential assists that he is averaging on the entire season, right? If you look at season results, he averages the most potential assists per game. He should get back to that now that he's playing more minutes. And he's played 30 or more minutes in each of the last 7 games. Knocked my headphones out. in each of the last 7 games, and he's averaging over 33 minutes per game in his last 5. And if you isolate the data in which he plays 32 or more minutes, which he should be able to get, he's gone over 11 and a half assists in 21 of 29 games. So he's been clearing it pretty well in the games in which he plays his normal allotment of minutes, which is the expectation. And it's also a really good matchup for point guard assists, right? The Pelicans are giving up the second most assists per game to someone of Haliburton's playmaking style. That's why we were on him on Wednesday in the first place. He had 13 in that game. And look, in the same game, TJ McConnell had 9 on an over-under of 4.5. Prior to that, Tyus Jones had 15 against the Pelicans. Ayo Dosunmu had 8 assists against the Pelicans on an over-under of 3.5. So even though we just went with him, I do like Haliburton assists once again tonight. And we have 3 picks left after this. Before we get into those 3, I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros Discord. So if you're looking to up your game in sports betting, look no further than the exclusive Discord community that Betting Pros has developed, bettingpros.com/chat. In the Discord, Betting Pros has gathered a team of expert handicappers giving you free picks for whatever current time of year it is. That's what you can get free picks for. So when I first was doing these streams, it was for NFL, college football, all that stuff. Now we're looking at college basketball, NBA, NHL. March Madness is coming up very soon. Then we have MLB season. That's going to be electric. Player props, live betting, futures, whatever you want, you can find in the Discord. Get in on the action, connect with like-minded individuals such as yourselves, sports betting enthusiasts, elevate your own betting strategy. So not only do you have picks to tail, but you can also just help your own individual bets as well. So join us in the Discord today. Take your sports betting experience to the next level. 3 plays left. All 3 are going to be full 1-unit McSlam plays. Next one that we want to talk about here, DeMar DeRozan over 23.5 points, plus 100 odds at DraftKings. So this one, DeMar's been on fire recently, and he's been playing so well that I almost just wanted to avoid this one completely because I was like, it's just been too good. It's been too good to be true. And considering the fact that his point total is lower in this game than it has been, it's one of those ones where like, all right, what am I missing here? And what I mean by this is DeMar has gone over 23.5 points in 9 of his last 10 games. That includes his most recent game, in which he scored 35 against the Cavaliers. On Wednesday, I went with DeMar, or maybe it was Monday or Tuesday. I don't even remember. And I got him to go over 25 or 24.5 points. Now it's even lower, and we're getting it for even money. It's just crazy. But even with all that, the matchup is just so good against the Bucks that I wasn't going to be scared off by the voodoo of thinking, oh, maybe the Bucks know something that we don't. Because, I mean, this matchup is incredible. The Bucks are giving up the 4th most points per game to DeMar's shooting profile, the 2nd most to his scoring profile. Even as the Bucks defense has gotten better, where they give up points is exactly where DeMar DeRozan feasts. I mean, what do you think of when you think of DeMar DeRozan? You think of a mid-range merchant, right? An excellent mid-range player who doesn't shoot a lot from 3, but will pull up in the mid-range. That's what the Bucks give up. Again, even as their defense has gotten better. In the month of February, the Bucks are giving up the 3rd most field goal attempts in the entire NBA, specifically via the pull-up. And even worse than that, they're allowing literally the most mid-range points per game in the month of February as well. Literally the most mid-range or shot attempts, not points. No, both. Most made field goals and attempts via the mid-range. That's exactly where DeMar DeRozan wants to shoot. That's a death sentence against DeMar DeRozan. He's the mid-range king. He takes the most mid-range shots in the entire NBA, and he still takes the most in the month of February as well, as he's been playing better. Last time he played the Bucks, he scored 41 points. That doesn't surprise me at all. He should have a great game tonight. He's at least going to take a bunch of shots. If he goes cold, so be it. You can't help that. You can only help that he's going to take a bunch of shots and that this matchup is perfect for that. So that is that. DeMar DeRozan over points. So this one is in the same exact game, just taking someone on the other team. Malik Beasley over 1.5 made 3-pointers. This is at plus 105 odds per DraftKings. This is kind of, I mean, you're sensing a theme with my picks, right? What does the defense give up? Who on the other team takes those type of shots? That's exactly what we're doing with Malik Beasley. Catch and shoot guys and guys that take corner threes. That is what you want to target against the Bulls. The Bulls defense is among the worst in the NBA in those 2 specific categories, catch and shoot 3-pointers and corner threes as well. That's also exactly Malik Beasley's role for the Bucks. Be an unconscious shooter. Shoot as soon as you catch the ball. Don't think about anything else. And in the month of February, the Bulls are giving up the most corner 3-point attempts in the entire NBA, by a massive, massive margin. The Bulls are allowing 13.3 corner three attempts. The next closest team is 2 full shots behind them at 11.3. That's a massive gap on a per game basis. And the Bulls are also allowing their opponents to shoot over 41% on those attempts as well. So sometimes you'll see teams give up a lot of 3-pointers, but it's to shooters that they want to shoot, meaning bad shooters. That's not what the Bulls are doing. They're giving it up to anybody. And unsurprisingly, considering there's a correlation between corner threes and catch and shoot, the Bulls are allowing the most catch and shoot 3-point attempts in the entire NBA as well on the entire year and in the month of February as well, and also by a massive margin. In the month of February, the Bulls are allowing 31 of these attempts, catch and shoot 3-point attempts. The next closest team is at 28.9, almost over 2 full attempts per game. And again, that's exactly Malik Beasley's role on the Bucks. He leads the Bucks in catch and shoot 3-point opportunities, and he makes 47% on about 5 per game. That's an insane catch and shoot percentage, 47%. And it's even better on corner threes. He actually takes the most, he takes the most corner threes on the Bucks. He takes the third most corner threes in the entire NBA, and he makes the most corner threes in the entire NBA as well. So not only the most on the Bucks, but he attempts the third most and he makes the most. And you want to know why? Because he shoots 53% on his corner three attempts. It's crazy how well he's been playing. And it's a high number, 3.5, kind of similar to Steph. It's a number that he's consistently been clearing. He's made 4 or more in 6 of his last 10 games. And look at how he's played against the Bulls specifically. They've played 3 times this year. He's gone over 3.5 made threes in 2 of those 3 games. And actually both times he went over, he had 5. And in the one game he missed, he shot 3 of 6. So excellent percentage, but he only played 21 minutes. He averages 30 minutes per game. So that's more of an outlier. Playing time shouldn't be an issue tonight. So I love this play for Malik Beasley. We have 1 pick left, but I just want to get to some comments here. Christopher Rodriguez just placed a Vince Williams bet. No question, I'm ready to get hurt again. No doubt about it. Michael Scott meme there. And then Justin looking at Paul George points. That seems pretty low. 19.5 is a low number. He's got a really good matchup against the Wizards. I mean, there's anybody, honestly, against the Wizards, it's just pick your poison, right? They allow anybody to score. It's kind of like the Bulls with 3-point attempts. Like they don't funnel shots to bad shooters. They'll just let anybody shoot. It's the same thing with the Wizards. Generally, you want to target guys that attack the rim against the Wizards. So that's kind of why I'm guessing why PG is a little bit lower, because he mostly catch and shoot or pull up on pick and rolls. That not quite the way you want to attack the Wizards defense, but hey, 19.5 points is low for Paul George. But where I'm going in this game, that is our last play. Wizards versus Clippers. Ivica Zubac. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his first name correctly. I feel like I can never get that right. But we're taking Zubac to get to 10 plus rebounds, plus 110 odds at DraftKings. This is another system play. Death taxes, center rebound props against the Wizards. It's a tale as old as time. On the entire year, the Wizards are giving up the most rebounds per game to centers. In the last month, the Wizards are giving up the most rebounds per game to centers, and they're actually getting worse because they traded away their best rebounder in Dan Gafford. Unsurprisingly, the Wizards are listed as the best matchup in the NBA for Zubac's rebounding style. Now, he didn't play last game. He missed it. He's currently questionable to play tonight. Similar to De'Aaron Fox, if he gets ruled out, then no harm, no foul. That'll just get refunded. And if he plays, he's not going to be on some sort of minutes restriction. And you want to know why the Wizards give up so many rebounds to centers? Well, let's talk about it. They play at the fastest pace in the NBA by a mile. They just run up and down the floor, and they stink. They miss a ton of shots. So not only do a lot of shots go up for the Wizards, a lot of shots get missed as well. So, and they don't have a classic center who can eat up a bunch of rebounds. So it just means centers just gobble up rebounds after rebounds against them. Last night, Anthony Davis, 15 rebounds. Prior to that, Jared Allen, 12. Chet Holmgren, 10. Jokic, 19. Dan Gafford in a revenge game for the Mavericks against the Wizards had 17. Now, so Zoom missed the last game, meaning he didn't play. The last game he did play, he only had 6 rebounds. But prior to that, he had cashed 10 or more in 4 straight games. I'm very confident he should be able to do so again tonight. Azana, the Wizards are a cash cow. I wish they played every night. Me too. Yeah, we would make so much money if the Wizards played every night. Very high pace to go along with the terrible defense. Exactly. Space Cram, PG has some meniscus stuff. I'm guessing that's why it's a lower over-under. Sam wouldn't trust PG to get his mail in the afternoon. That's a funny example. And FM Grain is asking, what does lean mean? So 1 unit means that is a play that is being tracked for 1 unit. So if it misses, that'll go down as an L. If it wins, obviously we'll track the profit. Leans are plays that I like, but I don't want to track officially. So whether a lean hits or not, and we have gotten some to cash recently, they're not being tracked officially because a couple weeks ago, I kind of noted that there were plays that maybe I wasn't super confident in that I was giving out because I wanted to fill a show, and that ended up leading to some bad results. So I just kind of cleaned things up a little bit. And that's all that means. Still is a play that I really like, just not something that's going to be tracked. But that's all we got. 9 plays for you guys to lock in, 7 units risk. Let's hope we can continue the hot streak that we went on Wednesday. I appreciate everybody for joining me in the chat. I appreciate everybody for tuning in who did tune in. Have a great weekend, and let's win all our bets tonight. Have a good one.